I think women need to stop feeling inferior. And I think we need to stand up and say, hey, I've had kids, I'm powerful. I'm a Wonder Woman. I've had kids, I manage a family, and I want to manage a career. So I think if we change that mindset for ourselves, we will make other people change that for us.
Today's topic is balancing career and motherhood. Well, the expectation is on women to do most of the childcare. And according to a study from Ashoka University, around 50% of working moms in India quit their jobs entirely to do so. Some want to stay at home, while others want to get back to their careers. But that's not that easy.
Love matters. Love matters. Love matters. Love matters with Evelyn Sharma.
Hey guys, it's Evelyn Sharma, and you're listening to Love Matters. Today, my guest is the wonderful Yasmin Karachiwala. Yasmin runs her own business in Mumbai, one of the most reputed fitness instructors to the stars in the country. Clients include Kareena Kapoor Khan, Katrina Kaif, and Alia Bhatt. And, of course, myself. She kept working and growing her business while being a mom to her 2 boys. They are now in their early 20s. And I think Yasmin can tell us a lot about fitness, but also about being a boss woman. Welcome to the show, Yasmin.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. I was waiting for you to add yourself to the list. You were one of my first people that I trained, and we've had some great times together.
Absolutely. Well, in every episode, we feature a real listener's problem that I'll discuss with my guest. This time, we'll hear from Pooja, originally from a small town in Maharashtra, now based in Dubai. She was working in human resources. I'll play some snippets from a conversation with Pooja recorded before the show. Let's listen to her first concern.
Hey Evelyn, this is Pooja here. I'm married to Ashish. He's a very loving and supporting husband. We have 2 daughters. The elder one is 3.5 years old, and the younger one is 18 months old. So the dilemma is constantly there of, being a mother and being there for my kids, and at the same time pursuing my career. And I'm in this mindset that I want to have both. So, how do I tackle this situation?
Well, I'll give you a bit of context from the interview. Pooja took a break from work to have kids and still would like to go back to her career, but the pressure from especially her mother-in-law to be at home with the children, and she feels a lot of guilt about wanting to go back to work. So she doesn't know what to do. And Yasmin, even though you're my everyday fitness inspiration, you also inspire me with the way you've created a fitness empire and having 2 wonderful sons. Can you tell us a bit about your personal journey with your career and being a mom?
So, Evelyn, I actually got into fitness way young, like literally when I was 21 is when I did my first training abroad, but I was already teaching at a studio. Simultaneously, I did a teacher's training course. So, I think that brings out a little bit of that teacher tone in my voice when I'm teaching, but I used to teach little kids. So, down the line, when I had my own kids, I think that really helped me raise them, knowing the psychology of children, because that's what we studied in early childhood care and education. And one of the things that I realized is it's really important to be there and spend quality time with your kids rather than quantity time. And I think that stems from, especially in India, the guilt factor comes in. I'm not spending too much time with my children. I don't have time.
Right.
And of course, the environment makes you feel that as well. Like I remember when I was raising my kids and working, a couple of my friends behind my back would whisper and say, oh, when does she find time to be a mother,
Yeah. What did your husband say? I mean, he knew that you always loved working because you worked before you met him or before you guys got married, I guess.
So the funny thing is, when I got pregnant, he would keep asking me, I hope you're taking maternity leave. I hope you're taking maternity leave. And,
Mm.
make sure your maternity leave is 3 months and you can't go back to work before that. And I was like, yes, I know. Like, my body and my mind will need it, right?
Yeah.
And I was at that time working at the French International School in Mumbai. And I used to teach in the evenings, but I took my 3 months off, and literally after 2.5 months, my husband walks up to me one day and he says, why don't you go back to work? Because you are driving us all crazy at
Yeah.
home.
Bossing everyone at home around.
Like,
Mm.
exactly. So he was very supportive, and I had amazingly supportive in laws. And I don't think that, I would have been able to do and achieve what I have today without the support of them. And I think that's the crux of the Indian family, right? If you have supportive in laws and a supportive husband, you
Yeah.
can pursue your
Yeah.
career. And I think a lot of it, I mean, as you know, a lot of the Indian marriages are arranged,
Hmm.
right? And so was mine. But I made it very clear in the beginning that I would be working and I would have my own. Of course, at that time, I wasn't looking at a career and I wasn't looking at, achieving big things. I was just looking at doing my thing, working.
How much did your work change after you became a mother? And were there ever any clashes between your job and being a mom?
So honestly, my work changed 360 degrees after I became a mom, because before that, it was very difficult initially, but I kind of managed it, and I started calling people to my house to train instead of going to theirs. And that was the first shift in my work that I did, because I just realized that being a mom, I needed to be home for those initial years of my children growing up. And at that point, no one in India was calling people, personal trainers weren't calling you home. They either met you at a gym
Yeah.
or they came to your house, right?
Yeah.
And that was the concept of a personal trainer, that the trainer came to you at your convenience. And I kind of changed that. And I started people coming to me. A, it saved a lot of time.
Yeah.
B, they didn't have to invest in equipment because I invested in it. And C, for me, on a personal note, I was always home. So I think that really helped. And my career grew from there. And within a year and a half, my house was not enough for the number of people I was training. And I had to buy another studio and expand. And my
Wow.
kids were still 4 and 6, but I made sure my studio was close to my house.
Yeah.
I would say I'm fortunate and blessed that I worked for myself and I could choose these things, but most people can't, and we have to make the most of what we have.
I think so too. And I guess, like, there are ways of making things work. And the worst thing is if we don't try them because we fear that somebody else who has no business in our business will judge us for it. Well, our listener, Pooja, she, of course, is saying that her mother in law is not very thrilled to think that she would go back to work. So, do you have any advice for Pooja of how to charm her mother in law into the thought to go back to work?
So I would just say, Pooja, take baby steps. Just the two of you connect with her. It's not that difficult to connect with your mother in law, father in law. And I think the way to their heart is by learning that trick to do that. So be that person who connects with them. And yeah, I think that should work.
And I think Pooja can definitely work on that. She's also a bit worried about being stereotyped by her future employer because she thinks that a lot of employers assume that because you're so dedicated to your children, you won't be dedicated to your job as much. Let's listen to another soundbite from our interview.
Before my kids were born, I was working as a human resource as my profession, and I have been hiring people, I have been recruiting people. So at that point of time, I have always looked at mothers who are wanting to come back into career as a liability. And now I am here, I'm a mother, and I know I'm very passionate about my work and I will give 115%. How do I make my employer that clear that I'm going to balance both being a mom and give 115% to my career?
I guess we would have two point of view from you, Yasmin. Probably maybe an experience with a previous employer when you had your children. I mean, you employ a lot of women yourself,
Right.
and do any of them have children? And what would you like to hear from, or what would you like to see as an employer that, they're truly dedicated to their job as well as their family?
I think it's that whole Indian outlook again, where once you get married, then your work takes second priority, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like first you need to set those goals and those benchmarks for yourself about how serious are you about working? Is it just another job that you're going to, or are you looking to make a difference, right? Because when you decide that, then your work shows that.
That's so true. Yeah.
But of course it's a lot to handle when you I know a lot of my girls who get married, and I have this chat with them and say it's completely all right if you don't want to work, but if you want to work, this is what I expect.
Mhm.
Or if you need to focus on building a life with your family, your new family, right, then take time off. Say, okay, give me 6 months, I'll work part-time, and then I'll come back to work. So I think for Pooja, she needs to decide if she's saying that she can give 115%, she needs to have that conversation with her employer.
Absolutely, I agree. I think the main point that stands out is clear communication, with yourself, knowing actually what do you want to do.
I think a lot of the times we're scared that what if I go tell him or tell her and they will say, okay, we don't need you. But if you are as good and dedicated as you believe yourself to be, people will understand. Like today, I would rather not lose a good employee than lose them because they're going to work fewer hours, right?
Well, it's a kind of a similar situation for me at the moment. I'm becoming a mom. I'm, first time experience of not actually wanting to work. I've been a workaholic for
Ever, yeah.
most of my life, I feel.
Right.
And now, for the first time, I'm learning how to slow down and really take on only as much work as I can handle. And like, it's a big privilege that I can do that. But then, I mean, we also, one good thing maybe, that's happening in our last 1 year is that you can actually work from home really well in a lot of jobs. Do you think in general, Indian companies could be a bit more accommodating for working moms?
So I think there has been a change, and I think there has been a change due to the pandemic also, which has only amplified. But yeah, I think Indian companies have gotten more open-minded about work from home. But again, I want to just say that if we don't open our mouths and tell people, they're not going to assume what we need, right? I think women need to stop feeling inferior, and I think we need to stand up and say, hey, I've had kids, I'm powerful.
Yeah.
I'm a Wonder Woman. I've had kids, I manage a family, and I want to manage a career. So I think if we change that mindset for ourselves,
Yeah.
we will make other people change that for us. I know
Right.
that it's a lot of preaching, but honestly, like I'm constantly asked how I survived in the fitness industry, with so many men around, and did I ever feel inferior? And you know me, Evelyn, I've never felt that I can't do anything. And I never even thought that, oh, I'm a woman and that person's a man, that's why he's better than me. No, I just believed in what I did and did that to the best of my ability.
Right. I think quality is also something that probably a lot of Indian women are looking for. Like Pooja said in the pre-interview that she would like to be financially independent. And
Right.
even though her husband is not asking her, to go back to work for money and he's happy to provide for them, she just feels that, empowers her to also contribute to the family and to bring her own money in. Is that something that you think would be important to a lot of Indian women?
I think, Evelyn, that's important to women, right?
Right.
To be financially independent, to be able to support ourselves, because I think that's empowering again. When I can pay for myself without asking someone else to pay for me, I'm empowered, right?
I think so too. I think a lot of women also in India don't really have the choice whether to go to work or not. And when they do have the choice, I think they would really like to take it. And I think if workplace.
Love
Oh, okay.
matters.
That is the sound of our quiz.
Oh,
In every episode, our producers prepare a surprise quiz for us to test our knowledge on the topic. And
wow. Is the quiz for me or for you?
it's for us. We have to guess together. They will send me the quiz questions on a text message, and then I will read it out to us, and they'll give us options for the answers.
All right.
We'll hear this sound if the answer is correct, and this sound if the answer is wrong.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what the quiz is about. Today, our quiz is working 24/7, and it's a mix of multiple choice and true or false questions all about moms in the workforce.
Wow.
All right. Question number 1. What percentage of women in India return to work after taking time off to have children? A, 55%, B, 73%, or C, 27%?
27%.
I think so too. It's probably pretty low at this point. So we'll say C, 27%. Yay! Well, yay for us.
Yay. And the numbers are gonna change.
I'm pretty sure. I'm sure too. The answer is C. 27% return to work after the hiatus, according to the study from Ashoka University. Women who want to re-enter the job market after having kids struggle to do so. Interesting. All right, let's see question number 2. Question number 2. What is the barrier to women getting back to work if they choose to? A. Individual guilt and social norms dictating they should stay at home. B. Attitudes of employers. They're seen as inefficient and unproductive. Or C. Lack of flexibility in working hours from employers. I think it's lack of flexibility in working hours from employers still. But definitely, yeah, also individual guilt and,
Because, like I said, people make you feel guilty.
Yeah.
It's just,
Let's try A then. Individual guilt and social norms. Yay! We just know it all.
I mean, I feel bad saying yay because
I know.
they're not really good things. But yeah, we're saying yay because our guess was correct. But of course, we would do everything if we had it in our power to change it, right, Evelyn?
Absolutely. Here, the answer is all are correct. Oh, but some companies are introducing family-friendly policies like flexible working hours for parents, on-site childcare facilities, and gender-neutral family leave. That's interesting. Well, I guess, yes, they are all barriers in their own individual way. I'm glad to see that companies are introducing family-friendly policies, though. That's good to know. Okay, so here's question number 3. We always talk about the mothers, but what about the fathers? True or false? There is a paternity leave policy in India that is applicable to all.
False.
I think it's only in government positions, not in all private companies or something like that.
I know I don't have it.
Well, all right, let's see. Let's say false. It's not.
Right.
It does not apply to all. I don't think so. Correct. Okay. The answer is false. New fathers working in the public sector can take up to 15 days off, but in the private sector, it is up to the individual company.
Right.
Correct. Well, I guess, yeah, it would be nice if there could be a choice between stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad. Well, let's have a look at what Pooja has to say about the roles of dads and mothers and their interests.
So every time there's a discussion, I participate in the discussions. I don't like to just, stick on to the mother-in-law or the kitchen discussions. So whenever we are out in a family gathering, when I participate, I get comments like, oh, you know a lot of things, even if you stay at home, or, Pooja, you're very intelligent. It's like a society thing that women who don't work are not very smart, or, their knowledge levels are limited to kitchen and cooking and family affairs.
I think we just completely shattered this belief by saying that women know everything
Yeah.
and women are doctors and mothers and, we're just everything. What do you think about women who decide to stay at home and be full time wife and mother? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe, down the line, I'll decide, like, you know what, the first 10 years of my kids, maybe I'll have like two or three, who knows?
I feel every woman should do what she feels like doing. She has that right. So if you feel like you want to be home and spend time with your kids, of course, go ahead and do that. I think you need to do what's going to make you happy, right?
Yeah. What if your husband says he wants to be a stay at home dad?
My husband is one of the sweetest men that I've met. He's a really nice person. But if he decided to stay at home, I would work more
Mm-hmm.
because both of us can't stay at home. He's very nice, but he's too demanding at home, demanding of my attention. So,
I know that feeling.
but right now, Evelyn, with the work from home, a lot of guys are staying at home, right? So I think that there has been that kind of shift a little bit with people staying at home and working. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good time for people to test the waters and know whether they want this full time with their husband staying home, or they're happy with their husbands going to work and coming home in the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one question, probably more from my side, is if I decide to, be mom, wife, and go back to work, how do I keep time for myself? How do I make sure that Evelyn doesn't come last?
That's why we have maternity leave, right, Evelyn? Because honestly, when the baby comes, and that's what I told you earlier, it's all about the baby.
Mm.
Those first 3 to 6 months, Evelyn will be last,
Mm.
right? And you want to, because you have this new life, and the first baby, it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of you physically, mentally, emotionally, because you're a first time mom. You've never done this before. How much ever people tell you about it, you're not prepared for it. Like, I remember with my first child, there was a lot of anxiety about, am I doing this right? Am I feeding him right? Am I feeding him too much? Am I feeding him too little? Oh my God, he's not getting enough milk. Oh my God, he's been on my breast forever, There are so many things you're dealing with. And I think at that time, what people don't realize is literally the mother needs to be nurtured more than the child, with people around you, right?
But yeah, absolutely. It's not about me, even though I have 1,000 follow-up questions on motherhood for you. But I will send you those separately.
Of
Today, we're
course.
talking about puja, and that's why I would love for you to give some final advice or some loving words to Pooja on how maybe to come to terms with her own decision.
So, Pooja, I mean, I'm not an authority on this and I don't have a degree, but just from experiences where I've been speaking to you on all of today's podcast, and you just need to first figure out exactly how you want to compartmentalize your life, right? And once you do that, then you need to talk to your husband and your mother in law and let them know what you have decided, and ask them for their support. And you will be surprised that when you don't tell and you ask, people are willing to help you. And in all of this, don't forget, even though your kids are little, don't forget to speak to them as well in the language that they understand. Like, hey, mommy needs to work, but I'm always there for you. And with kids, all they need is security and love, right? The moment they know that you are there, the moment they feel that you will drop everything in the world to be there for them when they need it. So, yeah, I really hope that our conversation today gave you some insight into the way we deal with things, and it helps you somewhere with your journey and how you deal with
Lovely. That is wonderful. Thank you. I've learned a lot from you today.
it.
And thank you so much, Yasmin, for being on the show today and sharing your little pieces of wisdom with us that you've learned over the years. I think what I've learned today is that balancing career and motherhood is all about being honest with yourself, being honest with your family, being honest with your clients.
Okay, thank you so much, Evelyn, for having me on the show. It was an absolute pleasure, as always, talking to you.
So thank you, Pooja, for sending in your question and being vulnerable and honest with us about your struggle. Well, if you have any questions in matters of love, make sure to write us at lovematters@dw.com, and maybe your question will be featured next. We would love to hear from you. Love Matters is a collaboration between Indian Express and DW, Germany's international broadcaster. I'm Evelyn Sharma, and I believe love matters.
Love matters.